Now let's talk about one of the most important concepts you'll come across in your networking career, and that is ARP, or Address Resolution Protocol. What is it? How does it work? As I mentioned earlier, every single time you have a device that's on an Ethernet network and it comes online for the first time, what it has to do is it has to discover other devices on that network via the process of ARP, so it figures out how to communicate with them. Now, at the end of the day, ARP is where we already have the IP address of the other device. So let's say, for example, if router 1 wants to communicate with router 2, router 1 has the IP address of router 2 already. Okay, once again, IP addresses are logical at layer 3. MAC addresses are hardware specific. They're burned in hardware addresses at layer 2. So R1 wants to talk to R2. It has to be able to construct a frame that has R2's MAC address. Otherwise, it won't be able to communicate on Ethernet. So it sends ARP. And what it is you already have the IP. You need the MAC address of the other device. MAC is the question mark. And the way it works is R1 constructs a frame, and this is how the frame looks like. Let's do a quick whiteboard. So R2 constructs a frame, looks like this. It has the IP source address, it has the destination IP address, it has the source MAC address, and it has the destination MAC address. So if we were to go back to the diagram, let's quickly take a look. So R1, if it's constructing the ARP frame, it's going to put its own IP address, which is 10.10.100.1 in the source field. So let's go ahead and do that. 10.10.100.1. The destination IP that it's trying to reach is 10.10.100.2, which is the IP address of host 2. And then the MAC of source A would be its own MAC, so R1 MAC. And then it's going to have the destination MAC of R2. Now, interestingly enough, the very first time these devices communicate with each other, R2 and R1, they're not going to know each other's MAC address. So how do they discover each other's MAC address? Through this ARP process, what ends up happening is that if router 1 does not know R2's address, what it will do is it will, instead of putting in this field, it will modify this field. Here in the destination MAC, it's going to specify all Fs, and that's known as the flooding procedure. And let me explain. Let me go back to the diagram. So once you have all Fs in the destination MAC address field, when that frame is sent to core switch, the core switch is going to grab that frame. It's not going to look at layer 3 because it doesn't have layer 3 intelligence at all. It only looks at MAC addresses, right? When it's going to see the destination MAC set to all Fs, to this core switch, this means that it's a broadcast. It needs to flood this packet out everywhere. That's what's called the flooding procedure. So it's going to send this frame out fast Ethernet 01, fast Ethernet 02, and gigabit Ethernet 02. What's going to end up happening is that host A is going to get it. Because the destination IP doesn't match host A's IP, it will discard that frame. Host B is going to do the same thing. However, when router 2 gets it and it looks at its IP, the destination IP field in that packet, it's going to realize that, hey, it's destined for me. It responds back with its own MAC address. And when it does, the core switch is going to learn the MAC address of R2, put it in its table. Once again, what we have is port and MAC. So it's going to say gigabit Ethernet 0/2 has R2 on it. And it's going to say gigabit Ethernet 0/1 has R1 on it. It's literally going to have R2's MAC on it and R1's MAC. And this way, it builds its table, its MAC address table or content addressable memory table or CAM table and it's able to now allow these two devices to talk to each other, R1 and R2 are also going to end up adding this information to their ARP tables. Hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, give me a thumbs up, hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.